Welcome back, guys. Today's video is going to be focused on teaching you guys a method which I've been using. As far as I can remember, I've been using this method for as long as I've been teaching, as long as I've been playing myself, and just any advice I've ever given anyone in music. This method, which I call the hamburger method or the sandwich method, there's a few different names and you can interpret it differently, but at the end of the day, it's still the same moral of the story. Now, what this basically is, I'm going to teach you guys how to overcome any challenging piece and how to be able to perform it without any mistakes. So this is going to teach you to put everything together, have one big piece instead of little bits and pieces which don't sound good together. The main aim of this strategy is to help you overcome any trouble you have in playing a piece and be able to play pieces much neater and much better, especially for your performances. So without further ado, guys, let's dive into this and let's teach you my hamburger method. All right, so what we've got here is an example piece. Now, this is from a classical guitar book. I told you, this can work on any instrument, any song. Just for this example, because I have a lot of classical guitar books lying around, we're going to use this short piece, 4 lines for classical guitar. Now, let's say, for example, I'm a new student learning this piece and I've learned, let's say from here, first line, second line, and I've learned up to the third line and all is going fine so far. I get to the third line and this first bar here particularly is troubling me quite a bit. Now, what do? A lot of people use the wrong approach of just practicing the whole thing through and through, and they end up with these bits all good, but then that one bit, when they get there, they stuff the whole thing up and then they have to stop and then they have to start again. And that's what prevents them from providing a good performance. Now, how do we fix this? This is where the hamburger method comes in. So, step 1, this is like the meat of your hamburger. This is the main bit. So this is your main bit here. You take this for you. So for you in this case, for me in this story that we're making up, I take this one bar or whatever bar I have troubles with. I do this as many times as I need. It could be hundreds of times. I've done this before with more difficult pieces. In this case, it might take you around 10, 15, even 20 tries. So repeat this 20 times over and over and over, or until you get it nice and good sounding. Now, that's not enough. When you get that sounding good, what you do next, you add the fillings of the hamburger, I like to call it. So you add the bar from before here. Oops, sorry, that's messed up the focus. You add the filling from before, so that's the bar from before there. And then you connect it, so that bar and then this bar. So you're gonna have some trouble probably in that transition. This is really great for, especially when you can't do transitions of bars, very good. So you go this bar and this bar, so you add them together. And then you do that over and over again until you get that nice and smoothly. Now, the next step is very similar, just the other way around now. So you take those 2 bars that you have and you add this bar here after that one. So you add this one as well. So you got 1, 2, and 3 now. So you practice those over and over. There you got that little chunk. Or this could be in different chunks in a piece, depending on where in the piece it is. So now you got one little chunk that you're doing over and over. Once that is good, you can proceed to the next step, which is just adding the different, so adding 1 line from before now, adding 1 line from after, and then gradually you just start putting it into play. And then there you go, you have it done. That's basically it. So you take the whole thing on its own, step 1, practice it over and over. When you get it nice and perfect, you add the bar from before, so building up your hamburger gradually. And then you add the bar from after, so the rest of the fillings in your hamburger. And then very simply, you add what I like to call the buns. So the top bits and then the bottom bits and then everything that's left over other than what we just did. And then you end up with a whole song that's sounding nice and good. Just adding on to that previous example, now this is more like an extended version of the same formula that we used. I've got a different piece here for an example. Let's say in this case, I learned the whole piece. Everything is relatively okay. But when I get to, let's say, the second line, I'm having trouble throughout that whole line. So, so much of it is not good that the whole thing together doesn't sound like a proper line. So I can do this line, then I have a little bit of trouble getting through here, but then I resume my way. So that's kind of like you're in a race and then you're running well at the start, then you stop for a bit, you get tired, and then you keep going. Now that's not good. What we do here, we just take the same formula, but we apply it to the whole line. So this line might be so much about the bars, it might be the connections in the line. So you take the line and you practice just this line over and over until you can get all these little connections nice and good in this case. Once you've done that, just as simple as before, you add the line from before, practice them together, or you can add the last couple of bars from before and then add it on. And then you add the next couple of bars, next line, then you have 3 whole lines together which you can play. Finally, you finish it off with the 4th line. This might be different for the other pieces because usually a lot of proper pieces are a bit longer. These are just simple exercises that I found in this book. But for a longer piece, you do the exact same thing. You take the lines you have trouble with, practice them on their own, add the ones from before, add the ones from after, gradually start expanding, keep doing more and more. So each time, one more from before, one more from after, just like that, you get the whole piece done. And that's not just for one bit of the piece. If you have trouble in 3-4 spots, you can repeat that anywhere you like, as many times as you like. That's what is great about this formula. There you have it, guys. That was my systematic approach to overcoming any learning curve or any difficulty you're going to have, regardless of the instrument you're playing, regardless of the piece you're playing. As long as you have a piece of music, even it doesn't have to be written music, as long as you know what the whole thing is, what you're trying to achieve. So you have to have a clear goal. Then you have to know what bits you're good at. So what's your advantage? You have to kind of do a pros and cons. So what are you good at already? I can play this bar and this bar and this bar. Okay, what are you not so good at? These few bars. You take those ones, practice them separately. You add the bar from before. So this is like layering the sandwich or the hamburger, whatever you like to call it. It's just an analogy. But so putting it with the bar from before, the bar from after, then extrapolating onto the line, then the next lines, and then just like that, if you do that with each trouble that you have, you end up getting a whole piece with the difficult bits that you're probably going to end up playing better than the normal bits. So that kind of goes into thinking past that point where it's like, okay, I'm going to become so good if I practice these that this difficult bit, which a lot of people are going to know is the hardest bit and where typically people mess up, I'm going to be good at it. So if you use this approach, I guarantee you that you're going to find success in whatever piece you're playing. Hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'll see you in the next lesson. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you then.